Hey, podcast listening people. Good to be here with you every day of the week at 5:30 Mountain Standard Time, 7:30 Eastern. I go with you live and very often with a guest like I have today. I have a treat for you, so stick around. If you're watching this live, make sure to share it, drop a comment, drop a like, minimally drop a like and share it. If even not for you, I guarantee you there's somebody else in your network who will get value from this conversation. Don't forget as well, if you want to check out past episodes, all of the content that we've done for B2B Mentors is on all of your favorite podcast apps. Look up B2B Mentors, leave a 5-star review, and I appreciate you very much for doing that. And so with that, my friends, I'd like to introduce you to marketing legend, Sean Luitjens, who is the Chief Marketing Officer for uFlexReward. He was among the first employees at Monster. So we're definitely going to talk about that. He's an expert at branding, customer research, strategy, customer communications, and development of partner ecosystems and direction of product roadmaps, and a lot more. You know, you've had a very impressive background. So welcome, my friend. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Although the first thing we're going to have to talk about is every time I've spoken to you, you've dressed up. So I think I've had a positive effect in getting you to dress down. No jacket today.
I know. Well, I've been rolling since about 5 a.m. this morning and moving and shaking. And I'm like, wow, I didn't even throw a coat on today. So you're seeing me looking a little down dressed today.
I like it. I like that I'm bringing you down to kind of the casual level.
Little casual today. Yeah. We're going to have a nice casual conversation.
I put on a collar just for you. I just want to let you know I wore a collared shirt just for you today.
Well, that's how I wanted to trick you, is kind of like the old switcheroo. Like every time you see me, I'm just going to look super fancy and then get you to dress up, and I'm just going to dress down in a t-shirt.
Well, this is as good as it's going to get. So you can keep trying. This is as good as it's going to get.
Well deserved, man. I'm still trying to earn my place in this world, and you have already had a lot of great success. And so talk about that. What led you to where you're at in your life and career today?
Oh man. I think just taking opportunities as they come up, and not having a set path. So, out of school, I started a headhunting firm because I was there. When I was getting married, or was told I was getting married. She's still my wife, so I can say that. I moved to Massachusetts and took kind of the first gig available. And then I was offered a job actually at Fidelity to kind of work on the technology. I took a pay cut. It just seemed cool. And that's kind of been what I've kind of gone with, is my gut a little bit and what I really want to work on, as opposed to what's going to make the next dollar. And luckily it's kind of worked out that if you like what you're doing, you become reasonably good at it. And then, hopefully some money follows.
And why marketing? What was it that interested you into the world of, marketing?
Yeah, I started in product and product marketing. And so I don't know where this conversation is going to go, but I've kind of had my hand in it along with other stuff. I think, being a good marketer means you understand the rest of the business too. So product is trying to build what they want to build. And so you want to get out in the market and hear what the market has to say, what they want, so you can help with product. And then product is trying to build something and trying to bridge that gap for what they think is cool to what the clients want to buy. And once you can get that message out there, and bridge that gap, I think it helps a ton, because then people are like, why are you buying it? So that's been kind of my thing, is having my hand in a lot of things. I'm a notorious multitasker. So I think that's part of I'd like to say it's because I'm so smart that I wanted to do that, but I just can't do one thing at a time. I'm not good at focusing.
Yeah, it's tough for a lot of us entrepreneurial minded people, is, just like staying focused, but then you tap into something and it works, and then you scale the crap out of it. What is it that first, like, what was that first introduction into like a career in marketing and just, really being like, business, this is my thing. Like I like to say, business is my sport,
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Monster. So at Fidelity Capital bought some newspapers. And we had a really small crew, and we were trying to, and I'm going to show my age here. This is back when the internet was new. We actually also put on a class to Fidelity people on how to use the internet. So I'm going to show how really old I am. We had to build the product, but also market it on a shoestring. And I think that's a great way to learn. We're trying to get as many eyeballs on something as we can without a big budget. And obviously, once you can do it without a big budget, whenever you get cash, you feel like that's candy to spend out in the market. And then really got into it at Monster. So Monster, I was lucky enough to be there pretty early, before we had the big Super Bowl ad, and sit around a room and try to figure out how we're going to reach and what's going to resonate, with job seekers at that point in time. What are they really thinking about in the marketplace, and try to then convey that across. And then that was just a great ride. And to be honest, one of the secrets to, I guess, my success is just trying to be the dumbest guy in the room all the time. Surround yourself with really smart people, realize you're not the smartest guy, and just take all that. That's what marketing is. It's taking everybody's feedback in and trying to make the best out of it. To me, marketing's super cool because, everybody can do it, right? Everyone's an expert. You got to have a thick skin. Everyone's online. Everyone bought soda. Everyone went to the grocery store. So, they know everything there is to know about marketing. But that said, everyone has a really cool perspective. And if you can just kind of not think you're the smartest cat in the room, take in all that feedback from clients, from products, from salespeople, from everywhere, you can create a really cool and compelling message that everyone's on board with.
So in the Monster days, early days, what were you actually doing with Monster? Like, how did you get into that relationship initially?
Yeah, I mean, I got put in there as product. We were getting ready to merge a couple of websites together, Monster Board and a company called Online Career Center. Get that all merged under one place. So there was kind of, I don't know that we had roles. I mean, maybe the market's going back to that way. We had a bunch of us trying to get stuff done, right? And even the marketing meeting about what we're going to do around the Super Bowl ad was really just people saying what would be a cool ad. And then, they reached out to an ad agency to kind of refine that. But it was just what works in the market. And then I got kind of put into the product, strategic technology, et cetera, area there just as we grew, because, we grew exponentially and you end up kind of picking your path.
Yeah. So they're, like you mentioned, you're wearing a lot of hats in an early stage company like that.
Yeah.
They're like, what, less than 10 people when you had first stepped into Monster?
Yeah, somewhere around there, with contractors and people. Some of them came from they were working in a trailer at one point before I got there, just real small. I mean, it's just a cool idea. And you get the group of people that was there was phenomenal. Like, you could take that group of people and, those rides don't happen very often in life, where you really sit around and go like, I really am the dumbest guy in the room. This is really a pile of smart people. And you could probably take that group today and give them anything to build and sell, and they'd be rolling with it. And, those are the points in life where you got to just sit back and really learn from people, not realize you're, the smartest person that's there, and really learn and try to take the best from everybody's experience that's out there.
What can other marketers and founders learn from, an experience of going through a company like that and then watching explode, and then they eventually sold for at some point, right?
Yeah, I think, from a business standpoint, I think just, anytime you're in a market like that, it's a commodity market, it's a job board, right? And so to maintain premium price, you got to have premium product and positioning, et cetera. And I think, Indeed's doing a good job now with that. Monsters, just if you slow down, I think like anything else, they innovate or die. That's a good example. They're not dead, but, you can get caught at any point in time. You take your foot off the gas. There's always somebody else who's ready to climb up the hill, right?
But is there anything from a marketing perspective that you can like really pinpoint on that was a precursor to the eventual success that you all had?
Yeah, I think understanding the audience. So we were a little bit different because we went and went after the job seeker, why job seekers should use Monster, monster.com, why it's good for them, and really outcome focused. So, which is something I've kind of carried through. What's the outcome? Not what we have and why we're so, why we think we're so cool, but what is it at that point for a job seeker? Why do you want to come here? And that was the When I Grow Up ad, which probably predates you, my age. But, when I grow up, I want to be a brown noser. When I grow up, I want to file all day. And so kind of coming at it from a sarcastic view of what does a job seeker want? They want a cool job, right? They want to do something that they're passionate about. And so that perspective, it was really cool. And it really comes back to the founder and the vision of the company. His goal was, he was really passionate about making a difference for job seekers and companies. And so that it's pretty easy to market a mission statement if everyone's on board with you.
So leading into Uflex and uFlexReward, what is it Uflex actually does?
So we digitize all this is very exciting stuff here. If you're not in the human resources space, get ready. Super exciting. So we digitize total rewards. So anything to do with your compensation and pay, which everyone is passionate about their pay generally, and allow companies to go on the company side to go in and measure all of that and do things like pay equity, look at total rewards, offer personalization rewards to employees. And on the employee side, then it allows them to go ahead and have personalized reward and choice on how they, get their pay and compensation and see what they're actually paid, not just the base pay. So that's it in a nutshell. And so it is kind of cool technology. For me, there's a little bit of altruistic bent to it, as well as some of the founders around being able to provide a way for companies to communicate reward, but also create a vehicle for pay equity.
And from a marketing perspective, what are the main things that you're really looking at? And, when you stepped into this organization as the chief marketing officer, like where are you putting the majority of your focus right now?
Yeah, so we had, almost no brand. So the tool has actually been baked. It's a spin out from Unilever. They built the tool internally and then said, this is so cool. We want to flip it out to the market and, hopefully people will buy it. And so getting here with really one foundational client and not a lot of, brand. So just starting from scratch, which is kind of cool and kind of scary at the same time. We didn't have a platform in place, didn't really have a new website, so we didn't have a CRM, we didn't have an email marketing solution, we didn't have the site was brochureware, and we're just expanding that now. We weren't really out in the market, from an email standpoint, from a standard campaign standpoint, from doing events. And so it's kind of cool to build that from scratch. Of course, the flip side is, nobody knows you. So you get a lot of, don't care. Your numbers start pretty low. And as you're trying to build that relationship with potential buyers, and I'll just add, it's a long sales cycle type product. It's, enterprise SaaS. So as a marketer, you kind of got to be in it for the long haul. You've got to build that relationship, kind of the passive reader, I think the dark funnel, whatever you want to call it nowadays, to use the cool buzzwords. It is that message because it's a long sales cycle and you're not hitting them at the, they're not going to buy. It's not a beverage where they're like, oh, I'll go try that on Friday. They've got to have budget. They've got to be in the sales cycle at the right time, at the right place. There's just a lot of stuff that's got to happen. And so you've got to have a little faith that you're messaging the right way out over time.
Yeah, it's always interesting me talking to a veteran marketer like you and just a veteran business, someone who's been in business as many number of years as you, as you've been through the highs of the highs, but then like starting almost from scratch, and like what is it, what is the framework, because if you can learn that, you can go into any business, like especially going from scratch, you can go into any business and scale it, which those of you listening as marketers should be your goal, right? You're not just there to be a passive employee, you should be a growth engine for the company. And that's where a lot of marketers have very short-lived careers nowadays, is they're not doing that, and they're not self-educating themselves, and they're not listening to my podcast. So with that, well, first off, what kind of tools are you like nowadays? Like if you had to pick your top 3 or 4 favorite tech stack in the marketing world, what are you really leaning towards nowadays?
Yeah, I went pretty kind of, I guess, standard. So we're a HubSpot Salesforce stack on our side. I mean, so if that's what you're looking at, so pretty straightforward. We're also small enough in that from my marketing coordinator, I guess, also has been on that stack. So it's just easier for us to be nimble and quick that way. I don't know if you want more than that, but that's about the basics of
give
where
us
we
the
start.
goods, man. Give us the goods.
Well, that's kind of what we're on right now. I think,
then are you, you mentioned building, relationships with customers in a brand that's brand new. It's not very known. How are you going out and doing that right now?
Yeah, so I mentioned like Kid in a Candy Corps, we do have some budget. So we'd had a round of financing. So we've basically, did an analysis of all the different outlets that we think are proper for us, and then really casting a wide net, but probably, an inch wide, a mile wide and an inch deep to start. And really looking at places that, because every outlet always says they're going to give you the best return for their money, we're the easiest to work with. Nobody calls you up and says, yeah, you're going to spend money and you're not going to get any leads and we're horrible to work with, right? That call just never happens. So really kind of learning who we want to partner with and where we're going to get the best ROI, which can be really difficult. As I just said, our sales cycle is a year long, right? So you have a couple of issues that go with that. One, where is my best ROI, right? Because 100 leads is great, but 5 of the right leads are better than 100 bad leads. And so how do you start to really quantify where am I getting the best return on investment on a long sales cycle? So that's where we're going through right now. And I think I saw when you were talking to Jen Caldwell about, how do you then communicate that back up to your owners or your VC, right? And so you start to create these metrics and really proactively create metrics, because we don't have that number yet. If you walk into a business that's established, I get 1,000 leads, turns into 100 demos, turns into 50, 50 sales cycles, turns into 10, turns into 2 sales, right? You just know, right? It becomes pretty statistically sound. We're not there yet. And so for us, it's really trying to figure out how do we maximize the growth of the database while staying GDPR compliant, because we don't have that, right? So how do we do that cost effectively? And then how do we really determine which are the best leads?
And then, you're doing a lot of organic right now, or are you starting with like paid ads?
We've got a little bit of everything. And so I think that's, again, we're really wide right now. So we're doing, some sponsorships, some online ads, some presenting. I think you and I spoke about this once for fun. I don't like to present a lot. My general goal is to make everybody else in the company famous. And so getting them out on the circuit, and I prefer a content marketing strategy where we show you how smart we are, and then hopefully our prospects and clients can connect the dots that they should, because we are smart, and it is a good group, that I want to have a discussion with them, and it's not going to be overly salesy, and we'll be able to talk about our issues. Again, it's an enterprise sale. It is about what are their large issues. It's not a $5 transaction. It's a significant transaction. And so really trying to get out there across a multitude of places, do that ROI for the first half of the year, and then double down, in the second half of the year on those that we think really are the good outlets for us, the places that really do work. We really launched, kind of put it in context for people, in January. Like, we really launched the new website January 4th. We sent out our first email campaigns the 11th, and we've been on a pretty solid cadence and trying to figure out, as you've probably talked about on the show a bunch, what is the right cadence, the maximum number of emails I can get them to do without opting out, and not looking like spam, but I want to make sure I'm pushing as many as I can so that I get my message across and kind of build that subtle message, even though they're not responding.
It's kind of a nuanced struggle, is like, you got to build the long-term relationships, but also you're in a position where you need sales. Like, cash is oxygen. You've got investors and you got to show deal flow coming in. So you almost have to do some of the shorter sighted stuff in the very beginning so that you can do the longer term stuff down the road, right? Do you feel that kind of balance and nuance of starting from scratch?
Yeah, I think if I usually try to map up, at least personally, it makes me feel better, I guess, that there's some percentage. If you just look at every 1,000 people that are out there, right, there's only going to be a certain percentage that are probably in our buying queue. So if you look at our ideal customer profile, or whatever ICP people want to use acronym for, if you want to look at that, we have people that are certain size in certain countries looking for certain things. And by the way, they have to be in a certain sales cycle and have budget and have everything else. So you start to funnel that down. And really what you're looking to do is cast such a broad net that you're going to catch as many of people in that cycle that are now, which is, to your point, we need now, but also you're starting to plant the seeds for those that are going to hit that cycle in 1, 2, 3 years. So you're really, with an enterprise sale, you are looking at like, how can I build this queue for 5 years down the road?
And over the years, you've been like a behind the scenes kind of operator, and I came and dragged you out into the surface to talk about this. But you mentioned like making other people famous in your company. What does that mean? How does that apply to B2B marketing?
So for us, we want to be out in the market. And so it's usually setting up speaking events, et cetera, not doing them yourself. Picking and choosing and really spending time with your team to figure out who likes to do that, who's good at it. Because obviously if public speaking in particular, you're going to get people who are good at it and who hate it. So you got to pick and choose where you force them to go out into market, right? I'm going to use them wisely because I only get them so many times before they get really upset with me. And then, of course, you have the other one that, we never want to assign names to, the one who loves public speaking, but is horrible. And so you got to figure out how and where do I put that person, and are they trainable, and how do I get them out there? And then, of course, everyone wants the unicorn of the company, someone who's great, well respected, presents well, loves doing it, is dynamic, is a great face of your brand. And that's always a bonus. So we can get a couple of those. And then the goal is to find out what they like, what they're passionate about. Because I think buyers and companies know, like, if not that everyone here wants to talk about it, but something like pay equity or livable wage, we can get our heads around that, right? What's a livable wage? And you can tell if someone's just reading off a script because they made me go out there and read, or they get really fired up and you're like, oh my God, that woman is so stoked about pay equity. Like, I want to talk to her, and that's where that dialogue with the client starts.
Is that I guess I would say, a very necessary approach for every company now is to build almost a celebrity brand within your company, in an ambassador versus just
Yeah.
building your company brand? Like, what are the nuances of the two?
Well, I think you can take people go out and present, right? It's hard. You can't, doing a video isn't the same as getting a person out there. But nowadays, I think people do churn a little bit more. So you got to be really careful, right? If I've got, Connor's amazing. I want to brand him and put him out in the market. But if you do that too much with one person and they leave, now you've got this brand issue that you've got to rebrand somebody. And so I think it's really, hedging your bet across. It's become more complicated. One, there's more mediums out there, so where do I put people? Where do I have them present? Can I record? Can I have a recording of something and put it in 3 different places and make them record it? Because there's recorded webinars. And so I think it's just become more difficult over the years where, show my age, way back when, it was like, hey, we're going to go to 6 conferences and we're going to have 6 presentations. And actually people probably won't go to more than 2. So we just need 2 topics, so I think having a wide array of people and topics that you can discuss intelligently has become harder.
So diversifying throughout the organization too, of who those people actually are, which is a good point. I haven't, not a lot of people have touched on that, but I mean, if it's like your founder, that's probably a relatively safe bet if they're the type of person who's able to do that. Or if not, then maybe you can hire in someone who's already got a celebrity brand and amplify them a bit further.
Yeah, if you think creatively, I mean, you can work on building, panels with your clients and prospects. I'm of the mindset they don't have to be clients. What I really want from our brand, and again, I put a lot of faith in our prospects and clients and people in the marketplace, specifically in our segment, that we can put smart people up there. They don't have to be clients, and they'll be able to connect the dots as they talk about the future of work and the cool parts of what's coming in human capital and pay equity and total rewards and digitalization of rewards and all this stuff, right? That if we get a really cool panel up there of clients and prospects and talk, I don't have to throw the name uFlexReward out there and we can handle that for you, that they'll make that link, right? That they'll make that connection. And so I want to be associated with smart people, whether they're clients or prospects. And so to create that diversified portfolio of speakers, really asking people to kind of come along for the ride. And again, it's understanding and taking the time and doing your homework behind the scenes. Does that person want to have a public brand? There are people who want to build public brands right now, right? And can I help them do that on my dime to get out in the market, as long as the quid pro quo is they're talking about something passionate for our company?
For marketers and those who are, looking to follow you and kind of study what you're doing, what else do you think is super important, right? If you're in a room full of marketers right now, and you are, I guess, virtually, what is it that you feel is top of mind for you to share that could be applicable for them?
Well, I guess there's, are they old marketers or young marketers? I think in general, just don't stop learning. I mean, the marketing changes so fast. And by the time, the only way to differentiate is stay kind of on the front curve of everything that's going on. There's so much data and people are trying so many different things. The day that you sit down and say, I've got marketing figured out, you probably need to go get on Indeed and throw your resume up, because you're going to get behind. It's just changing so fast, which is the cool part of marketing, right? Everything's moving so fast all the time. And I think for young marketers, I think, you and I touched on it once prior, kind of figuring out what type of marketer you are, where do you like to be and what type of people do you like to be around that makes you successful.
And dial in those skill sets. And I gave you the layup for it, but you didn't touch
Yeah.
on it. But we talked about, using your powers in a way that also is socially responsible as a marketer, because
Yeah.
having the power of being a marketer is powerful.
Yeah, I'm a big believer. I work for several, help several, I guess, I don't know if you call them nonprofits. So White Shark Conservancy and ALS and Crohn's and just some other different places. And you don't have to spend a ton of time, but if you look at the nonprofit world, they don't pay. They really struggle to find really good business people, marketing people who really understand this stuff. And so, you can donate money, but it's, find some cause you're passionate about. And, they've been really receptive to taking help. Not everyone will, or they might have enough people, but, it's amazing where marketers think this is commonplace to sit down and say, well, let's look at your website and make some changes. And, for us, that's like, well, that's pretty boring, or which email system you're in, or how you're tracking what people are doing. And you're like, well, that's nothing. That's not a big deal. And you walk into a nonprofit and they're like, well, no, we just send it in BCC. We just send our emails out in BCC. And you're like, wait, what? Like, how? Wait, what? Don't do that. And so there's a great opportunity, and it's so valued for you to go out and use your powers for good, not evil. And marketing is good marketers. It is an interesting thing. Everybody thinks it's easy, but only the marketers really realize how freaking hard it is to get people to show up and buy your stuff and be interested.
I like that approach too. If you can use your powers to partner up with a nonprofit and do that on the side, and you got your career, but also if there's a cause that you're passionate about, and maybe you can reach out to Sean and connect and ask kind of how he's doing it, but being able to plug in your marketing skills, because nonprofits, as great as you could have the best cause in the world, but if you don't have good marketing, then you're going to struggle. Like you got to operate like a business, but run as a nonprofit. So that's kind of the yin and the yang. And a lot of them,
generally they started with a passion that they had, and they had, great vision and how they could actually do that thing. They just didn't come with the business skills. Right. I mean,
yeah.
and again, marketing, it's an interesting profession because, everywhere you go as a new company, everyone can, everyone can do marketing better than you. Right. It's a thick skinned job, right? You generally know you're doing a good job at a company if everyone's complaining equally about what you're doing. That's kind of how I look at marketing. You just have to, everyone's got ideas how they could do it better.
Absolutely. So Sean, I appreciate you, my friend. What is the best way for people to find you, follow you, and get into contact with you?
LinkedIn's probably the easiest way. I'm also Sean.Luitjens@gmail, but LinkedIn's easy, and Luitjens is pretty rare. There's not a pile of us. So if you can spell it, you can find me pretty simply.
Cool. And then best case customer scenario for Uflex, like what kind of companies are ideal for if they want to check out Uflex?
Yeah, for us, it's really large. Companies probably in 5+ countries. So they really need a complex human capital stack, basically total rewards, technology stack across a multitude of things, and actually want to create a, really cool reporting and atmosphere for personalized rewards to digitize their rewards.
Cool. Well, I'm super grateful for you, my friend. Thanks for spending some time with us today and sharing. And definitely, guys, go make sure you connect with Sean. Sean, stick around for one quick second here while we wrap up. Thank you so much. And for the rest of you, make sure you share this, right? Make sure you share this out. Make sure you drop a comment. Make sure you like this. Go check out the podcast on all of your favorite podcast apps. And if you want a chance to network, get mentorship, get coaching, build relationships with highly successful marketers, CMOs, business executives, business celebrities like Sean, go check out our free, completely free to you, B2B Mentors Marketing Mastermind. We host it every other Thursday. Go to activeblogs.com/live event, activeblogs.com/live event. Much love to you all. Make it great. And I'll see you on the other side.